Good morning. Turn that heater off for a second. 53 degrees over here in Georgia. Southeast Georgia. So I wanted to make this video because this is something that came up in conversation, or I started to think about in conversation. And I've kind of thought about it in the past, but kind of like putting it to words, you know, like always naming that demon and figuring out like the best way to put this stuff so that other people understand or see where I'm coming from, my perspective. But the mutant X gene, so to speak, you know, why is it that we, or those of us in this space, whether it be like observers, you know, the ones that really quote unquote get it, right? Not just content creators, but people in the comment sections and everything else like that. And I always show respect to people in the comment sections, people that are in the chats and stuff like that, because they really do drive a lot of the conversation and also motivate the content creators. So I think that's important to always, you know, talk about y'all, and because I am and was really one of y'all in totality. So but the mutant X gene, this is something that like I've thought about. It's just like, okay, you talk to somebody like Grinch or Ed, BGS, Angry Man, oh man, who else? Line of MGTOW, Lionel, Dollar Will. Excuse me, I don't really talk to Xanatos Clutch, but he always comes up in conversation. It's like, what about us, Charles Faulkner? You know, what about us? Well, I'm not forgetting anybody. But what about us, so to speak, is like the mutant X gene within us? What makes us different? What makes us say there's something wrong here, and I don't want to? I was just listening to one of Ed's streams, and he's talking about status quo. I don't want to follow the status quo. I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be regular. Or I see something, and it's not even like a will of just don't want to be. It's just I see something wrong, fundamentally wrong with my environment, that not only do I want to talk about it, understand it, get it explained to me, or explain it to others and let other people know, but I want to name it, I want to understand it, and I want to change it, right? And all of that, I want to understand the environment, and then I want to go forth and change it. What about us is so different? And I just, it bothers me, because it's like, you know, it's not one thing. When you see all these different people, you know, if you listen to Ed and he talks about where he came from in terms of how he reached this space through the passport community, passport/pro-black community, and he was on Blog Talk Radio, listening to people like Sergeant Willie Pete and stuff like that since like, what, 2012 or some shit, right? I got into it, I won't say because of a chick. I think I was looking at myself and I was wondering, I was trying to explain some of my actions and behaviors and feelings, really, and even and thoughts, and it's like, all right, why do I feel this way? Why do I think this way? Why is this not working? You know, as a person that works with computers all the time, you can fix computers, you're doing quote unquote everything right based off of, you know, the Disney propaganda and all the other shit that was been fed to us and we've been programmed with, and this shit's still not working. Like, this doesn't make sense to me as an IT person that usually solves problems. I usually fix my shit. Why can't I fix this? And like that bothered me, right? And then you listen to somebody like Grinch and where he came from, you know, having like, you know, being in foster care and all this other stuff and everything else that's going on with him, the people that he ran with, the changes that he's made in his life, and, you know, trying to get to where he quote unquote wants to be and stuff like that, right? And the moves that he's making. And it's just like, you could see like the stark differences, but then it's like we come together as a league of extraordinary gentlemen. Like, what the fuck? Like, where does this shit, like, how did this ragtag bunch of men come together and like really chop it up and try to make sense of everything that's going on in our lives? Where we start to say like, hey, listen, man, this is a problem. This is a problem. I saw this when I was growing up. Yeah, I saw that too. Start to really read and compare notes and really start to do the research and get deeper into it and say, okay, why is this an issue? Why are we having this problem in our society that we are quote unquote trying to fix or trying to resolve, or no, that hasn't been fixed or resolved, and other people, other people look at us as if we're fucking pariahs, we're lepers, like we shouldn't even really, like, to fuck with us is like to fuck with, those dirty people type shit, like, in terms of the black community. And how, even though we are in or integrated into the community somewhat, we're still a part of it, right? Or not the community, society. We're still not fully a part of it. We're still not really, how should I say? We are in the society, but we are not, we're still separated from it in so many different ways, right? Even though a lot of things are taken from us in terms of, or used, and so it's just like, why is it that we, getting back to the point, because I can't explain that, I guess, but why is it that we, in this space, manosphere, black manosphere, are coming together, and we see this as a problem, but nobody else does? Are we shepherds? Are we not sheep? Are we wolves? What about us is, just rolled up to the gym here, 4:43 in the morning. But what about us is, quote unquote, so different that I can't put my finger on it. And it's just definitely something I want people to think about, those that listen, and I appreciate you all. But really think about what makes us different. What makes us different from the rank and file black man, black person, American, whatever your nationality is, global citizen. What makes us different from everyone else to the point where we feel the need to express ourselves, put ourselves out here, and then it not put ourselves out here, and we're just different. We're seen as not the same as others, to the point where others would look at us and look down at us, or look at us as if we're not enough, we're not adequate. And it's not that it so much bothers me, but I really kind of, or not just that it bothers me. It doesn't bother me to like a great degree. I'm not sure what I said before, but I really look at it and I'm like, why are we so different? And are we kind of the reason for the next evolution of our society? Like, for instance, right? Like, I always talk about Gundam, right? Or a reference from one of the Gundam series. And I forgot what it was. Oh, man, I probably have to find it. But it's like Gundam Children of the Future or something like that. Or Children of Space. I don't know, something. But essentially, this new human looks at space, or looks at moving through space differently. So the premise is, it's just this kid, and he's actually like either the illegitimate child of this higher up person or a higher up politician, and he doesn't find it out till later, but he's really just kind of like strung out and destitute or something. Or he's lower. I don't know. He goes to an academy or some shit. I don't remember I gotta watch that series again because it was decent, but the ending was weird, so I have to like listen to it again. But in the series, there was this one part where he could actually see the movements of the way the Gundam moved, and it was different than other people. Instead of just, your usual 3D or your usual kind of 2D plane of existence, 3D plane of existence, because we can go up and down. It just depends on, what we're on. But it was fully 3D to where you could be perceived as being upside down to one person, but then be right side up, be upside down to the other person. Like, perspectives is different, right? And he could see these things. He could see the way, he moved through space differently because he perceived moving through space differently because he was born in space. So he's like a child of the future type shit. And it's like, okay, are we the children of the future that are here to help usher in society, or to help shepherd and usher in the new way of thinking, the new way of relationships, the new way of doing X, Y, and Z. Are we now those children of the future, so to speak? Oh, she looked decent. Are we now those children of the future? Who are we? You know, and like thinking about that, and like really makes me wonder if what we're doing here, you know, are we the catalyst? And not to really overinflate, you know, what we do and what we talk about, but we have to look at it, and you know, it is what we have done so far is pretty major. It is something that is special. Can't say it's unique, but because, you know, there's always people like this in every generation, era, so to speak. But are we the ones? Are we the new age philosophers? You know, the mutant X, whatever that might be, you know, the mutant X gene wasn't something that was like, you know, everybody had a power, or wasn't just everybody had a power. That was kind of like the big part of it, you know, the big difference. But then after a while, people are worried about the change, and we start to see how, and again, I never followed the comic book strongly, so guys, correct me if anything, or help me apply it better. But one of the things that they, especially in the movies, they had like legislation against the people with the mutant X gene. They had to register and all this other stuff. So when people started seeing this, or people started seeing these differences, they were kind of like, they were ostracized. They were seen as, you know, odd or something like that. And then, you know, those people had to be protected. But in time, you know, it kind of grew. So then those mutants had children, you know. And then, so what you start to see is like almost like a My Hero Academia situation, where most people in the world have a quirk, and it's normal, and you're abnormal if you don't have a quirk. And these quirks become a part of society in terms of you helping people, controlling water, controlling fire, and all types of other stuff, and having certain special powers, and using those powers as skills, and then actually having professional licenses so you can actually, you know, work to help and save people. You know, not everybody that has a quirk in My Hero Academia, is a hero, or can be a hero. Sometimes they fail. So there's a lot of stuff. There's like a lot of stuff like that, where you see those little things in cartoons, anime, and stuff like that. But then we start to look at even our own reality, and not to say that we're superheroes, but we are different. What in our mind really is different, to where we start to look at this and say, hey, this is fucked up, this is weird, and nobody else sees this. Like, y'all niggas ain't seeing this? Like, even with all the statistics that you have, y'all niggas ain't seeing this? But then we also have to remember, there are others with the X gene that are working for corporations, that are working for governments, that are working for your local municipalities, that are working for police and enforcement units. There's always those people that are on either side of this stuff, on what they call as the side of right. Or the side that's right. And then we always have that contingent of rebellion, that small little team that runs differently and says, hey, listen, you know, this is wrong and we need to make a change. And then the others that are enforcing it, or trying to enforce the status quo, keep things the same, they say, by you doing this, you're going to cause problems and cause a breakdown in society. There's always that goody two-shoes, that good guy, but he's actually different. If there's one thing that changed, you would be in the same position as me, blah blah blah, that shit, you know. And you see that with people that are, you know, purple pill in a sense. You know, they come to these spaces like, we know this stuff exists, or even red pill, but then they just always play devil's advocate. They always play against the rebellion, so to speak. It's like, I know this is a problem, I know this is an issue, but we can't take this down right now. You're going to cause too many problems. Too many people are going to get hurt. You're not thinking straight. And it's just like, but how many people have been hurt so far? And then the music plays, and it's like, you know, the person understands, oh, epiphany. So many have died. maybe I'm wrong. You know, that type of shit. So, anyways, let me get in this gym. I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, I guess this is another random thought, but I wanted to put that out there because this is something that, like, you know, I don't per se need a finite or definite answer or anything like that, but it is something I want to understand about myself, my environment, the spaces that I run in, so on and so forth. Alrighty, I gotta probably do like 45 minutes on this treadmill, so I don't want to be here all night, and I don't want the sun to come out while I'm here. Alright, peace.